Just watching this hurts.
Zoe went for that missile drop kick, and I believe Zoe may have gotten hurt. I believe she hurt her knee.
Not surprisingly, that landing towards Zoe Stark's ACL, MCL, and meniscus. The injury required surgery and put Stark out of action for an indefinite period of time. Unfortunately, this isn't the worst injury in this video. On Raw in February 2025, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan were in a tag team match against Dakota Kai and Io Sky. During the fight, Raquel lifted Liv up and used her to smack their opponents. In doing so, however, Liv Morgan got her face cut up, even cutting her eye. Morgan was still able to finish, and it seemed like the injury looked worse than it actually was, as Liv took some fun pictures of her battle scar backstage. Usually when you hit someone with a chair, the person getting hit gets hurt, but that's not what happened here. During a tag team match, Jey Uso brought out a chair and started swinging. However, the foreign object swung back and hit Jey in the face, busting him open. The injury was bad enough that Uso was placed on concussion protocol, but was back wrestling 2 days later. Unfortunately, JJ McDonough wasn't as lucky. In early 2025, McDonough and Dominic Mysterio had a shot at the World Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders. Only about a minute into the match, disaster would strike.
The War Raiders. Oh! McDonough, my goodness! Oh my God!
McDonough's head collided with the announce table, and it looked like JD was out cold. Thankfully, he was able to finish the match, but the injury left him with broken ribs and a punctured lung that kept McDonough on the sidelines for 3 months. The Doomsday Device is considered one of the most dangerous moves in wrestling, and this is why. At Survivor Series War Games, CM Punk and Cody Rhodes performed the move on Braun Breaker. However, Breaker landed on the back of his head. It looked nasty, but Braun continued with the match and was checked out afterwards, and thankfully, there were no serious injuries. The same cannot be said for what happened at Wrestlemania 41. During the Women's Championship match, Charlotte Flair threw Tiffany Stratton's face into the mat, which caused part of Tiffany's teeth to chip off, and that wasn't even the worst injury that happened that night. Later, during the second night of WrestleMania 41, Bianca Belair was having a match against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. The three women performed a move that caused Ripley's back to land on Belair's hand. You can see Bianca instantly start grabbing her left hand, and for good reason. The move caused Belair's left finger to break in 3 places and at the joint. The injury has been so severe that Bianca Belair has been out of action ever since, only returning in July 2025 to be a special guest referee. But it wasn't just the wrestlers who got hurt at WrestleMania. After being absent for 3 years, Stone Cold Steve Austin made his return at WrestleMania 41. However, while driving his iconic ATV down to the ring, the Texas rattlesnake crashed into the barricade. The accident knocked a fan in the front row onto the floor. Luckily, the individual wasn't seriously hurt, and WWE made sure to check in on them. Now this is exactly why you need proper training to be a wrestler. After winning the Elimination Chamber match, John Cena was congratulated by Cody Rhodes. The whole thing turned into a beatdown by Cena, as well as The Rock and rapper Travis Scott. At one point, Scott smacked Cody in the ear. That smack was so hard that it burst Cody's eardrum. However, Cody didn't seem to be too upset about it afterwards.
Hey, are you okay?
In April 2025, Kevin Owens broke character on SmackDown to reveal he was undergoing surgery and was unsure if he'd ever be able to return. What got KO'd to this point wasn't just one incident. In January 2025, Owens was wrestling Rey Mysterio in a match. Afterward, Kevin Owens said he began having neck issues. Then, just 2 weeks later, this happened. Fans speculate that this was the moment that ultimately forced Kevin Owens to need surgery. Unfortunately, he wasn't the only wrestler who suffered a devastating injury. As fans, we often think the simple moves are the safest, but this clip completely disproves that. Rey Mysterio was competing in a 6-man tag team match on SmackDown. At one point, Rey got pulled from the ring to the outside. However, Rey's heel landed at an angle, and along with the rotation of his body, caused him to tear his groin. Upon hitting the floor, Mysterio instantly reached for that part of his body. Unfortunately, Rey Mysterio was unable to continue the match, and the injury kept him out of action for 7 months. While that was bad, Apollo Crews had it even worse. Crews was taking on Johnny Gargano on SmackDown. During the match, Gargano hit Crews with a backstabber. The impact, though, caused Crews to legitimately tear his pectoral muscle. For the rest of the match, Apollo Crews had limited movement in his left arm, and it was clear he was in pain. The injury was so severe that it took 10 months for Cruz to make his in-ring return. The main event of the May 16, 2025 episode of SmackDown saw Tiffany Stratton defend her Women's Championship against Nia Jax. The final moment of the match saw Jax grab a chair, only for Stratton to kick it into Nia's face. However, the steel chair caught Jax and gave her a nasty cut above the eye. Luckily, it wasn't a long-term injury, but the aftermath looked horrific. At SummerSlam 2025, 6 teams competed in a TLC match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. DIY was one of those teams, and Candice LeRae was with them ringside. Thinking outside the box, DIY had Candice LeRae climb the ladder to retrieve the belts, while Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano kept watch. Unfortunately, this didn't work, and Candice LeRae got knocked off the ladder.
Oh my God!
This was a very high-risk move, and Candice didn't come out of it unscathed. The spot left LeRae with a massive bruise on her left leg and prevented her from wrestling for an entire month. However, considering how dangerous this stunt was, it's a miracle Candice LeRae didn't get hurt worse. In the main event of Crown Jewel 2025, the undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes and the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins faced off. At one point in the match, Rollins got on the top rope and hit Cody with a flying headbutt. The collision, though, caused Seth Rollins to injure his left shoulder. Despite that, Seth finished and won the match. However, the victory was short-lived as the injury took Seth out of action. It's usually the big moves that cause injury, but that's not always the case. For instance, Cora Jade was wrestling a match against Jordynne Grace. Grace pushed Jade into the turnbuckle, and you can see by the expression on Cora's face that something is wrong. The medical staff ultimately decided that Jade could not continue, and the match ended abruptly. It turned out that Cora Jade had sustained a head injury. This resulted in Jade being put on concussion protocol, but she returned to action after just 10 days. This moment is just awkward. On Saturday night's main event, Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green were going at it one-on-one. Vega got Green on the ropes and attempted to hit her with a 619. Zelina's leg got caught on the ropes, however, so to save the moment, Vega simply kicked Green in the face. Perhaps unsurprisingly, this broke Chelsea Green's nose. Despite the pain, Green was a good sport about it and had fun with her new appearance. During a women's tag team match, Dakota Kai was hit by this.
Yes, she was. That was a rookie, Zoe Stark.
Zoe like a
God, that was
missile!
amazing.
Zoe Stark's left foot caught Dakota Kai in the head, giving Kai a concussion and putting her out of action for 3 weeks. At the 2025 Royal Rumble, the Motor City Machine Guns challenged the WWE Tag Team Champions, DIY, to a 2 out of 3 falls match. The first fall was scored by DIY, while the Motor City Machine Guns scored the second. During the fight for the third fall, an injury would occur. The Guns had Tommaso Ciampa hung upside down when Chris Sabin went for a kick. Sabin's boot accidentally connected with Ciampa's nose, and the blood that appeared made it obvious. Luckily, Ciampa was able to finish the match, and while the injury looked nasty, Ciampa was back to wrestling the next week. This is the absolute worst way to start a match. On the June 16th, 2025 episode of Raw, Liv Morgan was competing against Kairi Sane. Seconds after the bell rang, Morgan was taken to the mat, and it quickly became apparent that something was wrong. Medical staff came out, and it was discovered that Morgan had dislocated her right shoulder. The match ended up being called off, and Liv Morgan has been sidelined ever since. It's called high risk for a reason, and unfortunately, it comes at a price. At Money in the Bank, John Cena teamed with Logan Paul to take on Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. One of the big moments of the match was when Logan Paul performed an Acai moonsault onto the announcer's table. The hard impact caused Paul to suffer a massive bruise on his shin. The injury put Logan on the sidelines for a bit, but he did return to action later in the year. In May 2025, Elton Prince was in a match with his tag team partner, Kit Wilson. One of their opponents, Nathan Frazier, performed a standing shooting star press on Prince. Frazier's elbow accidentally landed on Prince's face, causing Elton's mouth to become bloody. However, more damage may have been caused because Elton Prince hasn't wrestled since this happened. In October 2025, WWE was hosting a non-televised show in Japan, during which a women's fatal 4-way match took place that featured Rhea Ripley, Stephanie Vaquer, Io Sky, and Raquel Rodriguez. During one moment, Raquel lifted Io Sky up and threw her onto Rhea Ripley, who was standing on the outside of the ring. The collision busted Ripley's nose and not only required her to wear a facial protector, but also put the Nightmare out of action for a month. On SmackDown, Alexa Bliss took on Roxanne Perez. Bliss had Charlotte Flair in her corner, while Raquel Rodriguez accompanied Perez. During the match, Alexa took Raquel out by hitting her with Twisted Bliss. However, their positioning was slightly off, which caused Alexa's face to land on Raquel's knee. The impact busted Alexa Bliss's nose, which got worse as the match progressed. Thankfully, it didn't sideline Bliss, but this next wrestler wasn't so fortunate.
You might need that stem cell therapy quicker. And now Jade Cargill!
That may have not seemed that bad, but that throw left Jade Cargill with a gash on her forehead. It was bad enough that Cargill wouldn't wrestle until a month later. In late November 2025, Solo Sikoa and Penta were going head-to-head on Monday Night Raw. The action spilled to the outside, which led to Penta hitting a Hurricane Rana. Penta, though, landed on his left shoulder and dislocated it. The luchador actually wanted to pop it back into place and finish the match, but WWE's medical staff wouldn't allow him. Ultimately, the match was called off, and thankfully, the injury doesn't appear to be long-lasting. Sadly, many wrestlers have suffered injuries that have altered their bodies. To see what happened to them, watch the video on screen.